Welcome to Python Programming Lesson 1. In this class, we will be covering the basics of programming in Python. We will also be covering advanced topics like object-oriented programming. However, we will be doing this from a very simplistic view. Python programming is a little different from traditional programming. Traditional programming requires a development environment called an IDE, and a programmer has to code, compile, execute, and debug all in this environment. It can be pretty tedious. Python programming is known as REPL, which is read, eval, print, loop, which is REPL, also known as an interactive language shell. It is a simple interactive computer programming environment that takes single user inputs and evaluates them. Each evaluation returns a result to the user. A program written in REPL is executed piecewise. Python programming traditionally occurs in the shell. Here is an example of a very simple Python shell. So in this Python shell, we can enter our programming language. Programming can be as simple as just 2 plus 2. And we hit enter, and it gives us 4. I can also create a variable and assign it a value. And then I can take that variable and I can use it. And here I created a variable x and I gave it a value of 2, and then I took x and I added 3. I get a value of 5. So this is the original Python programming interactive shell. As you can see, I just typed each line of code and it executed. This interface was taken a step further and integrated into a notebook environment. The interface mimics the Mathematica notebook interface, which consists of a notebook system where all your program inputs can be saved into a file. This system is called Jupyter, and we will be using the Jupyter interface to program in Python. Now we're going to connect to the Jupyter interface, and let me close this traditional Python interactive shell. Now, how do we get to the Jupyter interface? So this is the mylittlengineers.com website. And at this website, we have our classes. Right now, we're going to have our Python class. We're going to have a Lisp class and also Mathematica class. We have forums that you have to be logged in. The forums are for students. If we go to a forum, you'll see we just have the general forum, right? And then if you go to the Python class, it will take you to the Python class. And here is going to be the first video for Python. Now, to get to a portal, you go to the portals page and you just go, you go to Jupyter Python. This takes you to the Jupyter server, and each student would have their own username and password. And here I'm going to enter. When you do this at school, make sure not to, usually a pop-up is going to come up that says, hey, do you want to save this password? Don't save the password, because then anybody else going into that computer will be able to access that information. So we're going to sign in, and then you see, do you want to save? I'm going to say never. Now I have various lessons here. You can see this green means this lesson is currently running. I've been in here before and I've executed it. So we can go to things that are running, and we can see lesson 1 is running, and I can shut it down. and I can go back to files. Now, all your files, all your lessons are going to be here, and they're all going to be different. They're going to be, all the lessons will be listed, even exams, anything that's Python related will be in this folder. This is your own folder. Each student will have one of these, and if one student saves lesson 1, it's not going to overwrite the other student's lesson 1. Everybody has their own workspace. So we're going to now execute lesson 1 as simply as just clicking on it. And you can see this brings up the Jupyter interface. Now, you can see there's an in and an out. And this interface, this is basically a file that we can come here and we can save in checkpoint. And then we can close the file. And we go back to the list of files. If you just wanted to start a brand new, so these are untitled, 1 and 2. I can click these and then I can trash them. I'm trashing the untitled ones. And here's my notebook. I'm going to trash this one too. Just come here, click trash. Now, I'm going to just start up Python by itself. I'm going to come here, new Python. And I get a Jupyter shell with 1 line. Now, we're going to replicate what we did in the other interactive shell. Now, the only thing is here, instead of hitting enter, you have to hit shift enter. That's how this notebook interface is and operates. Here, we're going to say x equals 2, shift enter. And notice there was no output because it just assigned the variable. And then what I'm going to take is I'm going to take the x value and I'm going to add 3 to it. And I'm just going to execute that, shift enter, and I get 5. So this is what we did in the other interface. It's just this interface is more conductive for a student to come back to, experiment with. So now we can come here and we can save in checkpoint. And I can just close this. Now, it saved it as just a name there. We can go click it and we can say rename, and I could just say my notebook, hit enter, and there it is. If we want to run it, I click it and there's a notebook I had before, right? So I can go back to the work that I had and I can insert each line of code 1 line at a time. So in order to log out, it's over here. We're not going to do that right now, but you can log out right here. So now we're going to close this and we're going to open up lesson 1. Now in lesson 1, as you can see, each box is a cell. We type a command, we hit shift enter in order to execute the shell. Now, this is 2 times 2. I'm going to do shift enter and there goes 4. Now, here's an example of PEMDAS, which is, if you remember from your class, it is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I think that's what it means, yes. Which really is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. This is the order of operations from left to right. What's executed first is parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication left to right, division left to right, addition left to right, subtraction left to right. This is how traditionally math, the rules for math computation. So here's a complicated expression. If we hit shift enter, we can see that we have 13. Now we can break this up, and the first thing we want to do is parentheses. So we know this is going to be 7 times 2, which is 14. And then this is going to be 6 divided by 2, which is 3. But this is, what is this? This, I put a note here, this is an exponent. Usually we write it a to the n. Here it's a wildcard n. I call these splats because they look like a splat. So 2 double splat 4. So what is this? We come over here. That's 2 to the 4. Shift enter, which is 16. Now, we did this before, which was 14. You see the 14 there. We had the division, which is 3. Then we did the exponent, 2 to the 4, which is 16. And now we have a multiplication left in here. Now what do we do next? Now we've simplified it down to this. We're going to get this answer up here, but we're going step by step. So next thing you have to do is multiplication left to right, which then this becomes a 12, right? So I can come in here and I can just say 12, right? And actually, let's 3 times. It's a good time to show you this. I'm going to click right here and then I'm going to hit the letter A. That inserts a line above. And then I'm going to copy this, Control C, paste it, Control V. And we're going to, I just wanted to save this here. I'm going to do a Shift Enter. So far, let's see, we should still get 13. And there it is. So now I'm going to do this 3 times 4, which we know is 12. I'm going to put that in there. Now we've simplified it to a point where I have 2 plus 12 minus 14 plus 16 minus 13, which is addition and subtraction left to right. So if you Shift Enter, 13. So we just walked through this, but this gave me a chance to show you the different operators that can be used. Here I'm going to assign a variable, x equals 5. So let's do something. I'm going to take this out. Well, I'm going to do this. X plus, let's do x plus 1. Like we had before, this is what we did before. We said x equals 5, and we did x plus 1. I'm going to execute that. It's going to print out 6. So now I can print things. This prints the letter x. This prints the value x. Now notice I got a 5 and not a 6. So if you see what happened here, we assigned the value to 5. We added it, but then we didn't assign it to anything. So it just printed it out. Okay, you wanted me to add 5 to 1. That's okay, that's 6. And then when I went and I print the variable, I got a 5 because I never assigned it. So what I had here was x. This is the assignment operator. So just like I was assigning x the value 5, I'm assigning x whatever x currently has, which is 5. And I add 1, that's going back into x. And then you can think of it as this executes first, and then this executes next, giving x a value of 6. So now if I do this, notice it didn't print anything because it didn't do a math. There's a difference. The value was put inside of x. If I would have done just x plus 1, it would have printed it. But now, if I come back over here and I do a Shift Enter again, the 5 became a 6. So next lesson, we're going to go a little bit more into types. This is a character type, and print knows that because there's a double quote here, that anything inside of double quotes is characters. So that way, when we did this, it printed the character x, not the value x. But when we did this, we printed the value x. So this is the end of our first lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Please take the time to explore and experiment. Just play in here. And when you're done, as before, you can just save. But here, you can use save right here too. This does a save and checkpoint. And then you can close this. If you want, before you leave, make sure nothing is running. You can come over here, see if there's anything running. Nothing's running. And then when it's time to log out, you can make sure you log out so the next student that goes to your desk won't get your access to your files. And there we go. Now, I don't have a back button right now, so notice the Jupyter server is at .org and the website is at .com. Now, one of the nice things about programming this way is that at school, usually the computers get wiped and re-imaged, and you lose your work and you lose the programming language because the schools have a really tight security. So here, the server runs on a machine that I have, and it's secure, and I keep all your files secure, and I keep the form secure. So your files, nobody will be able to see them except the student who works there. I can also be able to upload new programs into your folder by working from this server. You can also run from home, from any computer, anywhere. You just come here and you go to the portal. You don't have to install the software. A lot of parents don't want their kids installing software in their computer. So what they do then, it's an obstacle. So now here, all you need is a browser. If you have a browser, all you need is just come here to the portal, click this, and it'll take you to your programming interface. Now, once you're logged in, now notice I'm not logged in. I'm going to log in to the website as well. And I'm going to use the same username which happens to be my son's account. I'm going to log into the website. Now you can see up here in the corner it says welcome, and he's got his own avatar. Now if we go to the forums, he's going to be able to see the private. This is a private forum. That means only the students from this school will be able to see this information. No other person on the website can have access to this. So in here, there's this Jupyter General Questions Python. So if we go in here, there's topics, Programming 1, Programming 2. Each lesson is going to have its own topic. Students can post questions. I'll answer it. And nobody else except the class will be able to see this. And then as soon as you log out here, then we go back to see it said, hey, now that you logged out, that forum no longer exists. So now if we go back to forums, they're gone. We just have the general forum that's open to the public. And so we can go back to the home page. And this is basically the interface. For every class, there's going to be a forum, and hopefully we'll build up more classes and have lots of students. So I hope you enjoyed our first class, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.